Well, I guess I'll just open up by saying we're obviously extremely happy about the appeal and the reversal of the sanctions against postseason play for football. We appreciate the appeals committee really looking at our case, and obviously the fact that it's taken this long I think shows that they took this seriously and gave it its proper attention, and we're now ready to look forward and turn the page, and got a lot of new things going on this coming season, and this I think closes out where we've been and allows us to move forward in the next season with a full steam ahead attitude.
I can say ditto. Well, I said earlier that I thought what the committee found was exactly why we appealed it, was that it was two sports, not one sport, and I thought that's what the appeal committee that we appealed to found, and I think it was a great decision for UCF, the football program, the fan base, and it's a great way to start the season ticket sales off with momentum. And the big thing that people don't understand is that we've been getting a lot of negative recruiting because of that appeal. You know, people telling kids that you wouldn't be going to a bowl game or that type of thing. Now, it happened just at the right time. The coaches hit the road this week. I think it's great momentum as far as that's not something you're carrying around your back anymore. And I think now at least we have the opportunity to do whatever we can do to get to where we have to go as far as conference games or a bowl game. So a great opportunity, and I'm very happy for the university and Dr. Hitt. He put his neck out there, and I think he did the right thing. Most presidents wouldn't do that, and I appreciate what he did, standing by the student athletes and the football program, and believing that we had a case with that postseason ban, and I'm glad the appeal committee saw that and read through a lot of those things and come up with the decision they come up with.
George, had you not won this appeal, then you wouldn't have had the chance to play for a BCS Bowl in the last year of this. Then it becomes kind of a game changer, doesn't it, with regards to motivating your players now knowing that they have this possibility to play in a BCS Bowl?
Well, so you're getting rid of a negative, something that you had if you didn't win it, all of a sudden now you're playing for the love of the game. I think there's a movie out there on TV with that, but no, I think there's two ways to look at it. You had to have two speeches ready. If it didn't go our way, and if it did, it did. So everything that was available this past year is still available for us, and that's the way the kids will look at it. As far as lining up next year, there's nothing, as Todd said, nothing holding back. It's pretty much everything's out in front of you, and now you have the opportunity to do what you need to do.
Coach, was there a team meeting, or have you had the opportunity to talk to the players about what this means?
No, I've been out of town. I just got back in town. But I'm sure the players are ecstatic. They're all taking finals starting, I think, tomorrow. So, but they read the paper. Some just look at the pictures, but most do read the paper. And I think basically it's, from what the coaches have said to me, and kids, getting a hold of them on Facebook or whatever, texting. I think they're very happy about the decision. That there's nothing, no fence in the way as far as that we have to climb, except the ones we basically cause ourselves as far as game-wise and getting into each game, and at least have an opportunity to do what we have to get done this year.
Coach, I know credit to President Hitt for being willing to do this, to listen, but you were somebody you were the one pushing him to do this and presenting the argument for why you should. Can you talk about what does it mean to you to get this decision and to see the validation of that thought process when you first saw that and decided this is something we should fight?
Well, I was surprised that, first of all, the infractions we got hit with, right? I thought they were extensive for football anyway. And I thought basically that I I'm always gonna fight for the athletes if I feel it's justified, and I thought it was justified, and from reading past history of the same situations regarding postseason ban, I thought we had a heck of a case, and I'm just glad the university thought so too, and appealed it, because it came out to be a great decision, and it's something that you don't win very often, you know, and I'm very happy that we won, but as Todd stated earlier, I thought we had a very good case as far as for the parameters on why we had postseason ban and why that wasn't deserved.
This is for both of you guys. You guys were unwavering throughout the whole process. Why were you so confident and able to keep your confidence throughout the whole 3-month process, the period before that as well?
I think because at the end of the day, we made this appeal because we really felt it was the right thing to do. And it wasn't trying to, weigh your chances of success or whatever. We felt that the facts didn't justify the penalty. And when we looked at those 115 kids that had just gone through 2-a-days and were preparing, well, actually they had just reported. It was interesting, the timing. But it was the right thing to do, so that that's what we really hung our hat on. And after we went through the hearing, we felt like we had done well, but we didn't know what kind of threshold you would have to meet to actually overturn what the Committee on Infractions had imposed. But we always felt that, one, we had a good case, and two, we were justified in doing that based on it was the right thing to do, and not some type of gamesmanship or some of the things that people have tried to say we were doing.
I know you don't have to deal with this now, but there are a lot of young players that are going to be stepping up into big roles. Do you think it would have been a challenge to keep that focus sustained through a whole year without a postseason possibility?
Well, I think there's definitely a challenge, just like the coaches are home already from the road. They hit the road this week recruiting, and they're being congratulated by the recruits. They can't talk to them, but through the coaches and stuff, the high school coaches, hey, great win. And it is, because you're not fighting the negative, and you can have some momentum heading into the recruiting. You're not walking in, you can start with everything positive and looking forward. So, but I think if we didn't make the appeal, I think it would have been a lot of meetings to make sure kids understand, you're playing for the love of the game in that case, and that's unusual today because it's such a selfish attitude that so many kids have. Football's turned into a me game rather than a we game in a lot of areas, and that's what you try to avoid, and that's what's happening more and more every year.
Todd, you said you were having the game the proper attention. Was that a concern that they wouldn't give it the proper attention, or where'd that come from?
I mean, I think whenever you go into something like that, it's totally uncharted territory. So, I mean, of course, everybody's trying to read the tea leaves, and as early as last week, where people are asking all the time, when's it going to come out? And you're thinking, okay, is it taking this much time because they're really deliberating? Is it, what else? And because we just don't know. And so I think that's, when it's all said and done, I think the time that was taken really was because they were very deliberate in their assessment of our case, and I think in this case, that's what it took. It took that kind of attention.
Coaches, have you ever dealt with something as unsettling as waiting this long to hear a result? Was it like leading up to a big game or anything like that? Can you compare it to anything?
Just when I asked my wife to marry me.
Dude,
I felt 100% that it was a good fight, and you go into a fight and you're not going to win them all, but if you don't win, you're still going to come out fighting, and I think that's what you have to do as a coach and athletic director is fight for your athletes, especially if there's something that's not accurate or not the way you think it should be perceived. And I think that's exactly what took place with this. This was done for those kids last year. the seniors, 20 seniors we had that, you know, I would have hated to walk into that room and say, listen, you know, we're not gonna be playing for anything this year except the love of the game, and, you know, and let's go out and do what we can do. But, you know, that, this year coming up, we would have had to dealt with it, as far as what would have taken place. But I think the kids are very ecstatic that we got this done. And I think the kids leaving really appreciate that we went out on a limb for them, and really didn't go out on a limb as much as I thought we read the report, and we had a very good argument as far as why we shouldn't have postseason ban.
So she took that long to say yes?
She still hasn't said yes. So.
Cliff, was there something about the process that you'd like to see the NCAA change in regards to timelines? Because as you've said, it's been a negative. People have used against you, affect recruiting. And there's a lot of tension on the NCAA, but would you like to see certain timelines for this process? It's a little bit more fair, and Tom, maybe you can comment as well. Yeah.
I think they got a lot more work at the NCAA with different schools than you realize. I think there's a lot on the table there, but, you know, when you read the report from the appeal committee, I think what Todd said is 100% accurate. They spent a lot of time on really dissecting what took place, and, you know, it was two different deals there, and they tried. I thought the NCAA tried to put them all into one deal, and I think that's what the committee saw on the appeal. I think it was right in what they found, and again, I thought we made a judgment based on what we read and what we thought we had a chance to really win, and I think it was fair to the kids or fair to the university as far as what they did for the postseason ban. And thankfully, the appeal committee did spend the time and the energy in dissecting what the crime was as compared to the punishment, and I think they came out with the right answer.
Time for about one or two more, guys.
I understand you guys learned on Friday the decision. Did you know it was happening on Friday? Did you get informed via letter or phone call that this is what the decision is, or did you have an idea to be ready for a decision on Friday? And what was the mood when you found out?
Literally, I got an email, and I just came back from a summit on the West Coast, so in between breaks, I was just looking through my email, and I read it again, and I read it again, and I read it again, and then I called our general counsel, because I saw that he had been copied on the email, just to make sure I was reading it correctly. He hadn't seen it yet, and so I called somebody else, and I forwarded it to them, and had them read it, just to make sure that I was reading it correctly. And then I called Coach and said, we won the appeal. So that's, and then I started making phone calls, calling Dr. Hitt, and so on and so forth. But I got it in an email, and then I probably read it 20 times before I called somebody else, just because I wasn't, I wanted to make sure I was reading it correctly.
Anything else, guys? All right, thank you very much.